Welcome back everyone. In AP3 you may remember that as a boy, Owen and Bobs battled it out with a three-way game for Top Builder when they were tasked to build a stock market. Grand design should be simple when using a custom world with RTX shader add-ons. Owen started out strong, creating a massive trading floor. As a boy decided to go with a more subtle approach, building a mountain crib fit for a rap star. And Bobs, who knows what he was thinking? You feel the pressure might have got to him? His build ended up looking like a closed TSB branch in Rotherham, or somewhere like that. Owen came out on top in this round. However, as a boy is 2-1 up, and Bobs needs to get points on the board. This week's challenge is to create a famous meme, so buckle up. This is battle builds from the studio view. Welcome back everyone. In AP3 you may remember that as a boy, Owen and Bobs battled it out with a three-way game for Top Builder when they were tasked to build a stock market. Grand design should be simple when using a custom world with RTX shader add-ons. Owen started out strong, creating a massive trading floor. As a boy decided to go with a more subtle approach, building a mountain crib fit for a rap star. And Bobs, who knows what he was thinking? You feel the pressure might have got to him? His build ended up looking like a closed TSB branch in Rotherham, or somewhere like that. Owen came out on top in this round. However, as a boy is 2-1 up, and Bobs needs to get points on the board. This week's challenge is to create a famous meme, so buckle up. This is battle builds from the studio view. Welcome back everyone. In AP3 you may remember that as a boy, Owen and Bobs battled it out with a three-way game for Top Builder when they were tasked to build a stock market. Grand design should be simple when using a custom world with RTX shader add-ons. Owen started out strong, creating a massive trading floor. As a boy decided to go with a more subtle approach, building a mountain crib fit for a rap star. And Bobs, who knows what he was thinking? You feel the pressure might have got to him? His build ended up looking like a closed TSB branch in Rotherham, or somewhere like that. Owen came out on top in this round. However, as a boy is 2-1 up, and Bobs needs to get points on the board. This week's challenge is to create a famous meme, so buckle up. This is battle builds from the studio view. Welcome back everyone. In AP3 you may remember that as a boy, Owen and Bobs battled it out with a three-way game for Top Builder when they were tasked to build a stock market. Grand design should be simple when using a custom world with RTX shader add-ons. Owen started out strong, creating a massive trading floor. As a boy decided to go with a more subtle approach, building a mountain crib fit for a rap star. And Bobs, who knows what he was thinking? You feel the pressure might have got to him? His build ended up looking like a closed TSB branch in Rotherham, or somewhere like that. Owen came out on top in this round. However, as a boy is 2-1 up, and Bobs needs to get points on the board. This week's challenge is to create a famous meme, so buckle up. This is battle builds from the studio view. Welcome back everyone. In AP3 you may remember that as a boy, Owen and Bobs battled it out with a three-way game for Top Builder when they were tasked to build a stock market. Grand design should be simple when using a custom world with RTX shader add-ons. Owen started out strong, creating a massive trading floor. As a boy decided to go with a more subtle approach, building a mountain crib fit for a rap star. And Bobs, who knows what he was thinking? You feel the pressure might have got to him? His build ended up looking like a closed TSB branch in Rotherham, or somewhere like that. Owen came out on top in this round. However, as a boy is 2-1 up, and Bobs needs to get points on the board. This week's challenge is to create a famous meme, so buckle up. This is battle builds from the studio view. Welcome back, everyone. In EP3, you may remember that as a boy, Owen and Bobs battled it out with a three-way game for Top Builder when they were tasked to build a stock market. Grand design should be simple when using a custom world with RTX shader add-ons. Owen started out strong, creating a massive trading floor. As a boy decided to go with a more subtle approach, building a mountain crib fit for a rap star. And Bobs, who knows what he was thinking? You feel the pressure might have got to him? His build ended up looking like a closed TSB branch in Rotherham, or somewhere like that. Owen came out on top in this round. However, as a boy is 2-1 up, and Bobs needs to get points on the board. This week's challenge is to create a famous meme, so buckle up. This is Battle Builds from the studio view. Welcome back, everyone. In EP3, you may remember that as a boy, Owen and Bobs battled it out with a three-way game for Top Builder when they were tasked to build a stock market. Grand design should be simple when using a custom world with RTX shader add-ons. Owen started out strong, creating a massive trading floor. As a boy decided to go with a more subtle approach, building a mountain crib fit for a rap star. And Bobs, who knows what he was thinking? You feel the pressure might have got to him? His build ended up looking like a closed TSB branch in Rotherham, or somewhere like that. Owen came out on top in this round. However, as a boy is 2-1 up, and Bobs needs to get points on the board. This week's challenge is to create a famous meme, so buckle up. This is Battle Builds from the studio view.
Hey guys, welcome. We're back again. This is episode 4 of Battle Builds. Okay, first of all, say hello, Owen.
Hello, Owen.
Owen, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Owen, can you hear me?
Should be able to. Oh, is the
You're not
microphone?
speaking, I can't hear you, Owen.
The microphone is in front of me. Hello.
Aaron, I can't hear him.
Hello. What mean, man?
Hang on 1 second.
Oh my god.
Try again.
Help me. Hello.
Oh, technology. How it seems to fail us. 1 second, guys. I do apologise for this. Is that it?
Can you use help? Hello?
Test. No, I can't hear myself. Owen, can you speak?
I can speak. Hello.
No, I still can't hear him.
Can you hear me? Hello. Hello.
Technology. Oh, it's great. Pressure. Hello. Can you hear me now,
Hello.
Owen?
I can hear you the entire
No.
time.
Test. No, I can't hear myself. Test. No. I'm still on Discord. Hello. No.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
No. Can't hear myself.
Hello. 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 Hello.
I can
Hello.
very, very
Hello.
quietly hear you.
Hello.
I don't know what's going on here.
Hello. You can probably hear me through Aaron.
Sorry.
Or through the wall.
Test. Yes, I can hear myself, but it's very quiet.
Hello.
Owen, can you speak?
Hello. I've been speaking this entire
He's very quiet as well.
time. Ah.
Oh, this is great.
Oh.
Well, I can't hear myself, can I? My phone's...
Oh, you can hear me now. Sweet. Hello.
What about you?
Test.
I can.
I meant in there. Great, we lost 2 viewers. Thanks, son. Right. Okay. Right, we're back. Okay. Let's try this a bit. Oh, do you want to lower your camera a little bit?
Hardly my fault, man. It was working before.
Owen? Yeah, lower your camera.
Won't
Just a bit.
lower any further than that, mate.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry, my bad.
You know this. Every week we have this issue.
But you're going to get a taller seat then, aren't you? We're going to get you a booster cushion.
To be honest, these are second-hand seats, aren't they? Oh, they don't go any higher.
There's Bob's. Bob's seat.
Nah, it's alright.
It's blue though. Oh, what about that one?
I'm not the one with an issue with it.
Oh, where's the static one?
Fuck that, no. Not that one. That one's smaller. That one's shorter, that seat.
Okay, right, guys. Battle Bills. Woo! Right, episode 4. Owen versus Aaron. Okay, right, we're back again. So, first of all, let's do the spinny. You see how long this game's going to last for. So, let me find the mouse pointer. Where the hell it's gone to?
That was a. Is that a frog? Is that a frog just staring me down in game?
I hope so.
Yeah, it was. It is a frog. The little bastard was just staring me down. What? As I say, please tell me someone was on my screen there, because.
The hell, man?
Oh, that's what he must have done. I must have been just really far away. Then he must.
No, it's not that. I can't see the top of the screen. 1 second. There we go. Right, okay, spinny time. Here we go. Right, we are going for is that 2 hours and 30 minutes? Let's have a look.
Spin it again. I weren't watching.
I wonder if I could find the bloody mouse pointer.
Oh, shrink for font size, old man.
Where the hell's the mouse pointer?
He just had it there. I just seen it.
But that's actually one of the things that I think Apple did right.
There, it's in the
As
middle.
a whole
in
shaky
the middle,
bounce thing.
on the wheel.
There you go. You can see it.
Can't see it.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, it's there.
Well, that screen's frozen then in front of me then because I can't see it.
oh dear.
It's there.
God's sake.
Don't you just love technical issues?
Around it.
Oh yeah, I see it now. Right, spinny. Oh yeah, font size. Choose the size font size of it.
There you go.
Right, spinny. There we go. We are going for a 2 hours and 30 minutes game. Sorry. Right,
2 hours
okay.
and 30 minutes,
Right,
yeah.
I believe I'm on Owen's screen.
So I have to spend an hour doing something.
Owen's on, yeah, I'm on Owen's screen. Well, no, I can see your camera, dude. I wasn't sure if I was on your actual screen itself.
You're on me.
So,
right?
Battle Builds, episode 4. Find myself, repeat myself. Okay, 2 hours and 30 minutes game, and you've got to build a famous meme. Okay, you're not allowed to look at each other's work, right? And basically, if I ask you a question and you get it wrong, you got a 30-second penalty where you can't touch the keyboard. Okay, everybody understand the rules?
Yep.
Okay, brilliant. Right. Okay, let's switch over to Aaron's. Aaron sat reading Discord.
Give me a second. I'm just doing something.
Okay, go back to Owen then. Owen, he's doing nothing. Quick, get a head start.
I already know what I'm gonna build, so
He's gonna need it.
Oh,
He's gonna
smack
need it.
talk.
what?
Smack
You already know what
talk.
you're gonna build, Aaron.
I have one of the best memes.
Oh, God. So, right, okay. Right, so what are we looking for then? Are we looking for humour? Are we looking for instant recognition? Or are we just looking for just whatever you fancy? Is it potluck?
Pot. You can't say that.
Well, 2 hours and
Demonetised.
30 minutes, and all you're building is a meme, okay? You can make it as 3D or as realistic as you want, or you can just build a giant wall with it, that thingy. But if I was you, I would use the extra time to build extra memes.
I might do multiple memes as well.
Well, that's up to you,
no,
isn't it?
just
Really,
up to you,
that's the name of the game. Just build what you want.
That's what I want. There it is.
If only someone would tell me how I can use this.
How you could do what? Sorry.
If only someone would tell me how I can use this. I'll just blow up in the background.
Is that correct?
Sorry, I had my phone on because I need them on at the stream. So
There we go, but I want a more vibrant orange. If I put that there, I'll get like put that in the middle.
So, quick question, guys. Have you already decided on your meme? Have you already got it in mind?
I have.
I have an
Okay.
idea. How do you do the do? Ah, there you go.
Make like more of a lava orange.
I gather the way that you are both terraform and that you've already decided on where you're going to build everything. So,
Oh no. If this isn't the area, I'm gonna do it in.
oh, okay.
Oh man.
You can do like ancient cave paintings.
I don't know, it would just seem I could get my hand stuck in here.
Why can't I see?
Switching camera.
Oh.
You're still not
Is it
doing
me?
anything.
I mean, I really need video in a different aspect ratio, but I just have to just upload it as it is now. It's warm in here, like.
I turned the heating off.
I don't think the heat is off.
It's not off anymore. I turned it back on because someone left the door open when they like blew in.
No wonder it's so warm then.
It was
Dying.
freezing. I'd tell you now, it was freezing.
I'm dying, bro.
Because someone let the door in, open. I don't know.
Blame the dog. It's the best way for it.
Everyone always blames the dog. It's not the dog's fault.
Well, currently the dog's in here sleeping on the sofa next to the radiator, so
Oh, poor dog.
I beg to differ.
I'm gonna turn my heat off. Oh, yeah.
Look at his face. He looks so relaxed. He fucking loves it.
Okay, right. Ready to start playing, us?
He's not very happy about a 10 up either. Oh, it's cold. Oh. You got a fur coat on, dog.
He sat there fucking going. Oh.
Don't start talking to me. You just cement you all the time.
Oh, wait, it's raining. Oops. Stupid me. Burn it all to the ground. Actually, I just realized it's tick speed.
I can't believe you still sat on the Discord screen, as.
Oh no, I'm not.
God, yes, you
Oh,
are.
oh, you can only see that one.
Oh, God.
Oh, there you go.
I am burning up in
Oh, you
here.
could have told me that.
Oh, there you go. You what? You burning up on?
Oh, is it bedtime?
Sadly, not. This is just the first. 15 minutes of battle builds.
It's only 15 minutes in, and I'm still choosing colours for blocks.
Yeah, 10 minutes. 10 minutes of that was the intro.
Shit.
Oh wait, so it's only been 5 minutes of actual building.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Has it
Well, he hasn't really
I
been
still
building.
know what I'm
But
building.
Owen's choosing a colour palette.
And now I'm just going to go fuck it, wing it.
I wish there was such a thing as black and white monitors still, because I just put your screen in black and white and watch you fucking screw yourself over then.
I can just see myself through the glass there, looking on the other computer. Just
Yeah, I don't think this is
picking
working.
colours. Now I'm looking at the name.
You've took a very eclectic view with browns.
That's orange.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Actually, if you want to be fucking precise, it's terracotta.
No, it's orange. It's precise because it only goes for the 16
Probably turn that off as well.
Ah,
colour
okay.
palette. And it's in the name. Orange wool.
One man's orange is another man's terracotta.
I reckon I could do that. I could just build this.
If a fire was taking too long to burn down trees, and I was just floating around, I'm like, oh, great.
You know what time it is?
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. It's all a chord. Spinny, spinny!
If I use that,
Oh, and it's Owen first. Oh, because I've got to find the questions, Owen, so you're all good.
oh, it does work.
Oh, pardon me.
Oh, sweet, it does work. How handy that is. One question is, does it mess up water? No, it doesn't. Sweet.
Okay, Owen.
Yes.
What shooter series uses Vault Hunters?
Borderlands.
Yay, you got that right.
Man, the thing is, right, like a couple of months ago, he wouldn't even know that.
Shut up.
But no, that's the funniest thing.
It's true.
Okay. Aaron,
Yeah.
what Nintendo console used cartridges in 1996?
Bro, all of them? Duh.
No. Give me a precise one.
Precise one.
Yeah.
There's my fucking cuboid.
Is this the one I keep saying? Like, no, for all the Sega ones?
No.
Okay.
I said which Nintendo console?
Oh
It-
my fucking god.
Yeah.
Each week
It is. It is a Nintendo.
He does this every week, man. He does either Sega or Sony, and he never gets it right. He always
This one-
mixes them up.
This one's a Nintendo.
Get this right this time, Aaron. Swear
Let's
down.
put it this way.
Therefore,
There's one above Owen's head. Roughly. Somewhere up there.
Owen's head.
What was the question? I know I'm not answering it. But
Which
what was the question?
Nintendo
N64.
console in 1996 used cartridges?
N64.
Hey, thank God for that.
Very good. I was talking about our Super Nintendo Entertainment System,
Oh, God.
which is my go-to answer for most
Do you
of
want
them.
me to give you the timeline from now on about which consoles were released when? Would that be easier?
It won't matter. Honestly, I'll forget.
Yeah, I know. I would as well, actually.
Brain's like a sieve.
Well, actually, I was part of the PC Master Race, so 1996.
Wait, 1996, you're part of a master race.
Yeah,
Bit of a weird thing to say, like.
Oh.
I said
Probably no
PC
good time to
Master
say.
Race.
Right,
Unbelievable, you're like.
Didn't anyone hear anyone argue with
Oh,
what
yeah.
kind of master race?
Okay, so how to say this? Graphic power. Graphic power.
That's the Nvidia race.
I know you're only
Graphic
joking,
power,
but you really
graphic
shouldn't
power.
joke about that kind of thing.
Hey, I mean, you haven't really said you're part of a race, so.
I said Master Race, PC Master
The
Race.
only race I'm part of is the human race. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
exactly. Good lad. That's what I like to hear, Owen.
Only answer.
Oh, God.
Apart from them stupid,
Yeah,
stupid
racism's wrong,
clowns. I hate clowns.
Yeah, I must admit, so do I, actually.
And I hate gigolos, but I also get confused between gigolos and juggalos. So sometimes I play clowns for sex.
Oh, God.
Aaron doesn't know what to say.
I think I'm trying to say something, but then I was like, no, I'm not going to be misconstrued, that one.
I apologise for that. That's my phone alarm going off.
Oh, Aaron, why did you make me choose this Pepsi? It's spicy.
Why so spicy?
You really are a wet blanket, Owen.
Shut up, Mr. Berlin. Hear this, guys. He's bullying me in the workplace.
Look at this dude.
How dare he?
Oh.
It's all good fun.
Maybe for you.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, God. Dee
Hey,
dee
bully,
dee
little white hair bully.
dee dee dee.
There we go.
I'm trying to make a square hole in a fucking mountain. It's just not doing it.
Why not?
Because it said so.
Yeah, hopefully. I'll attract some people. Sorry. I'm bringing up a reference at the moment.
Yeah, you bring up the reference and you tell me where my dad went wrong.
Dee 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 dee.
Battle bells. Alright, now I know how to make mountains, I suppose.
I know exactly what I'm building. If anything, I'll have to freeze it. Freeze frame. Perfect, and it's super easy to build in Minecraft as well. This one's gone brilliant.
Lumpy greens.
Lumpy.
What?
Mystic door.
What? Lumpy greens. What? I
nothing
don't know
mystic
what
about
you
this door.
want from me anymore.
Oh,
Okay.
TSA took my quarters away. It really hurt.
TSA don't play. What a fucking idiot.
Oh, God.
Perfect.
TSA took my kids.
Back
And
over
I want them back.
Hey, ain't no way. It's time for TSA.
TSA.
Actually,
TSA.
colour picker.
Dawson's gay. Dawson's gay. He's not watching, but he knows he is. He might be watching anyway.
No, nobody's watching.
It doesn't tell you until they start typing.
Ah, does it?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
You should really do
It
some
also,
research.
it also won't tell you until like a minute after they've joined.
Yeah, well, it doesn't tell you at all unless they start typing now. Isn't that right, lurkers? Isn't that right?
You know that boy.
This is where there's still no one here, and I'm just looking like I'm going absolutely mental.
Oh, I should have done that. That's fine.
Why isn't it doing a fucking cube? Aaron, tell me when I use a cuboid tool, it does a fucking circle.
You press shape.
You press shape. Yeah, but I want to cut. How do I cut?
You do for shape. Get it lined up like on the outside, and then just change the active block to air. To air, I mean. To air.
To air.
To air. And you just
Your
fill it
air
in.
is good.
Why are you making it sound like you're fucking
Oh, that's what I do anyway.
Kyle's cousin of South Park? Oh, this thick mountain air.
Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
Get to the
No.
chopper.
No. Starts fucking screaming.
What is
down
wrong
the
with
office.
us?
I've been asking that the same question for fucking years, mate. I think that was one of the first sentences I said when we met.
I think it is, mate.
2019.
Yeah.
I think it was, the fuck is wrong with us?
When we were young and free. Oh, thinking about it.
Aaron, I don't know what I'm doing here.
None of us do.
I'm choosing a cube. Fucking cube shape. I tell you that, I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. Aaron, help. Aaron. Pardon me. If I could turn back time. If I could find a way.
Do you want to build a platform?
Oh my god,
Can't even sing
I've
that
become
with
the
you
triangle
singing.
player of this musical.
Bro, he's learnt too much.
He's learned too much.
Oh, Jesus.
Come on, Mike.
I'm trying to find the logo.
It's your
I've lost the
part of
logo.
song. Ding!
Oh, Jesus. That's
Come on,
downloads.
make share proud. Make share proud.
Where's the desktop?
Ding!
Ching.
Aaron, come help me. I don't know what the fuck I'm looking for here.
Ting.
I wanna get rid of the
Ting.
Oh. Ish.
Nearly found it. Hang on. There we go. The studio book. That's what I'm for.
Yeah, do that one. Do that. I'm still just messing around with Terraform.
Me too.
I'm just like, oh, I need a good platform to build this.
Oh, I forgot to set the timer off as well. Shit.
Good.
Oh, well, we haven't been building, so don't worry.
Okay, it's now just gone 17:45, so you've got until 7:15. No? Hang on. 8:15. Is that right? Half an hour. It's 6:15. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
scoop.
8:15.
School. Shatter, what's shatter? Shatter those knees. Ayo.
Oh no, I've dragged the screen off. Shit. This is why I shouldn't be in charge of technology, guys.
Technology. Why is people scared of it?
I'm trying to put the studio view icon in the top corner.
And what did we learn?
Not a
That I'm an
lot.
idiot. That I should have done this before the stream started.
Yep.
Well, at least you figured it out at some point.
Oh my god, I keep using a tool. Right, I go off it, right, and then I look for it again and I can't find it.
There we go. Right. Aaron's back on camera.
Hello. Oh, I'll show you my meme.
I had shatter and it was working, and now it's not working.
Right, there's Owen's. Okay. 1 second, Owen. There we go. Right, back in order again. Right, so I put the cameras up. Oh. See, this is why I shouldn't be in charge.
Oh, there it is.
That's a pretty.
And what
mountain.
makes you think that, Mike?
Well, I keep on forgetting to do these things before things start. Oh, it's a big hole in the mountain there. Owen.
I'm trying to make it just like a square.
Oh, that's way better. Oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah. Perfecto.
Oh.
Perfecto. Yeah, make that nice and pretty. Oh, baby, I love the way.
Every day, yeah.
Oh, your dad was singing a really good fucking song there. Something just begun. We can't really sing much of any songs. Mike, make us more popular so we can start paying like for music licenses.
I know.
So we can start singing songs randomly.
How the thing is,
We
we
could
can
finally
actually
do
get.
karaoke on stream on a Friday night.
Hell, I mean,
We're
to be
not allowed
fair,
just to sing.
hell, I mean, to be fair, right? Like as a business, right, instead of individual creators, we can actually get a business audio license, which allows us to play music inside of our premises for customers, but also as well, also activate it on content as well, such
Well,
as because we're technically a radio company.
When I stream from home, for anybody watching, I will play and almost say anything and everything.
Yeah.
Anything and everything you say.
But that's because I don't say VODs, so.
Because you're a rebel.
No, I just don't care.
Not to be
Rebel
confused
is
with the
just
chocolate
called.
sweets. You know,
That's
rebels.
a revel.
Which one?
Fucking love revels.
I might go with black concrete.
Thinking about you.
Oh, baby, I love the way.
You're young and you're free. I'm making the words up because I don't know what to sing.
Don't turn off that. Oh, yeah, I'll turn off that.
Pardon me. Sit away, sit away, sit away. Oh, sometimes I hate the mouse controls in this. Start looking the direction I want you to.
Okay, it's very hard to see. How would I change it any better?
Is there? This is a really random question. Is there any way to stop like Owen's screen stuttering on the stream?
Stuttering?
Well, it's kind of like very choppy, the animation. I mean, like, I'm watching Owen's screen from here. It's very smooth, like really smooth. But like, I can't. It's a bit juddery on.
I don't know,
the
'cause
stream.
when I play Minecraft and stream it on Discord to people I'm on call with, if I'm playing on Fabric, it's always stuttery then as well.
Ah, okay.
I
I just got a feeling that it's something to do with like the fact that you're in like massively high res and
go back to
all the graphics
Aaron's.
turned up.
I'll change my settings and we'll see if I can fix it that way.
Oh no! I mean, there's no need to. I mean, it looks great for you. Like I say, from me watching on OBS from this end, it actually looks really clean, really smooth. But like when it goes out on stream, it's like quite choppy. So never mind, don't worry, it's all right. It's all good,
I'll
guys.
still be able to fix it.
I'm going to switch camera anyway to Aaron, see what he's up to. Okay. I have no idea what Aaron's building.
Aye.
Good. You all underestimate my power.
Oh, God.
No, don't do it, Azakin.
So, Owen,
Yes.
have you started watching Fallout Season 2 yet?
No, I haven't had a chance.
Aye.
I have. That was the first thing I did.
My little brother's annoying, and well, I avoid him while he's at work.
Well, I was going to say, Aaron's put on 2 episodes so far this season. Both times I fell asleep watching it.
Well, there's only 2 episodes out so far.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Came out this week, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's that meme? It's Pikachu. It's Pikachu.
Who's that poking your mum?
Papa?
Poke your mum.
Will this work? Aspect ratio might be off a bit. Horatio Flynn. Actually, doing.
Right, okay.
I'm going to try and make this one look like it's cut out the mountain.
Good. More atmospheric, the better.
Well, less for atmosphere, more for, I don't know.
You know what time it is.
No.
It's that time. It's that time.
Why won't Mariah Carey leave me alone?
It is Aaron first. Okay.
Perfect. Yes. Oh man, I love Will. That is. That's so nice. I mean, actually.
I fucking love Axiom as well.
It's so good.
Okay, Aaron.
Yeah.
What console launched The Last of Us Part 2?
You asked me that last week.
Last of Us Part 2?
Yeah.
PS5?
Oh, you got it wrong.
No. It's not. Is it?
Yeah, PS4, yeah. Yeah, I remember that one.
Hey.
Because like when the PS5 came out, they did a remastered version, which was just as shit.
Hell, to be fair, I didn't play The Last of Us 2, so...
Oh, yes, good point. Anyway, you got 30-second penalty, dude.
Because I'm too poor. Do you know how much a fucking thing costs?
How would you want to play it?
Okay, here's Owen's question. You should get this one right, Owen. What free shooter features champions and abilities?
Overwatch.
No, that's not free. You've got to pay for that.
Yeah, it is.
It's not free.
It's free.
It isn't. It's Apex Legends anyway. So
Overwatch is free though.
you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you had to pay for it.
You're right there, Mike. We played Overwatch. We streamed Overwatch 2 when it came out.
Did we? That's how
With
fucking
shitty
forgetful that
PCs.
game is. I mean, let's make a first-person shooter that's like basically based on like World of Warcraft, like where you got to have a tank, healer, and fucking DPS. What's wrong with just like having a character?
World of Warcraft altogether.
You are sorry?
Let's get rid of World of Warcraft altogether.
Ah, dude, stab me in the heart. Oh, you fucker.
I'm gonna be like that guy from. Oh fuck! What's the
Oh, sorry. And I was messing around.
Oh, what's that movie called? I don't know. Either way, he doesn't.
I got for
trees
1 second.
and he just starts singing at the end. Just let it die, let it die, let it shrivel up and die.
Aaron, do you want to take the guess on that? What that movie's called?
For Lorax.
Yeah, the Lorax, yeah.
I am a Lorax. I speak for the trees. But
For
Vio's
some
over
reason,
there.
They are speaking Vietnamese.
Ba-bow, ba-bow,
Let it die, let
ba-bow.
it die, let it shrivel
My name
up
is Maurice and
die.
I am free.
So the guy's name is O'Hare.
Oh, hell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Oh, hey
like for
there.
Hyper Travel Company.
Yeah.
I'm O'Hare. I'm one of you. I live in Sneeville too.
Pardon me.
Let it die.
It-
Let it die.
It was not me.
It
It
was
was
the
my
Robertson Green.
food.
And I say,
That'll be us in
That
20
would
years'
be
time when Bill Gates has bought all the fresh water supplies to supply the data centers.
why freshwater? Dirty water just works as just
I
as
don't
well.
know. It seems to be that's what they seem to be doing. Powering
I
AI
mean-
centers with fresh water supply. What's wrong with
What
salt
now?
water?
I mean, to be fair, like, I actually
It's-
think
it's not like it's not boiling to the point it's gonna fucking run out of water. It's just gonna turn to steam, rain back down again.
I'm actually pretty sure that sewer actually like has a higher boiling point, so just use shit water.
You do realize you
Yeah.
can start playing at the beginning of it, don't you?
Yeah, but I started building like 10 seconds.
Oh, okay.
I left it, so.
You mean I wasn't watching your screen? Is that what you said?
Yeah, to be fair, I was working on it for symmetry tool. I was like,
Oh,
oh
okay.
wow.
I still don't know how to use that.
I mean, it's finicky, like, but I mean, it's doable.
It doesn't explain it at all.
I still have no idea what you're building.
Oh no, it's built downwards too.
Memes. To
No,
put it
it's-
in the way you explained to me earlier what we were building.
It's not memes. The memes.
Memes.
Building memes.
Building memes to go with dreamies.
Uh-huh.
Can't have that.
They'll never
So it
come
must
true,
mean-
Mike. They'll never come true. I know. Whoa, sometimes
Oh,
I get no feeling
in my legs.
I get no feelings because
I got no
don't know
feeling
why anymore.
inside my bones. Baby, it's electric. Do-do-do-do-do.
Maybe we should listen to Ed Sheeran when he told us his legs don't feel like they used to before. Why not, Ed? How come? Is there some sort of cardiovascular
ginger.
issue?
They float.
Oh my god! Because it's ginger and they float. What are you trying to imply there, Mike?
Because like they're unholy, the demons. I actually do have a very good friend who's ginger, so it's all good.
Oh yeah, yeah. Make it sound like a white chick. Yeah. Oh, my best friend's black. Love, you've never even heard of Kwanzaa.
I know he's
Never
all
mind
freckly.
Dr.
He's a
Ben.
freckly friend.
We know Lawrence is our friend.
Oh god! I tell you what, the worst part right, is I was having a conversation with somebody one night about about getting old, and this person, like, I won't tell you if it was a man or a woman, but this person was telling me about how they discovered grey hairs in the junk, and that was a thought that never ended in my mind until that day. Now I have this constant fear of having to get hair dye out just for men.
Oh, now you've just confirmed it's a man.
Oh god! Yeah, I don't know which is more embarrassing, if it was a man or a woman, because like either way, it's basically it's not a conversation you should be having with a friend, is it?
Yeah, I mean it can be.
Mate, look, if I get fucking grey pubes out, my balls are gonna look like Grandalf's beard.
I don't need to be thinking of that, Mike.
I'll
Thanks,
be pulling on my
though.
scrot and pretending I'm having conversations with a hobbit. Master Bilbo! Oh, God.
You'd like that, though, wouldn't you, Mike?
You like that, wouldn't you?
I'd set up a stage
You'd like
show.
that, wouldn't you, hobbitses?
I'd be booked into Darlow Civic right away. The one-man testicle scrotum show. Oh, God.
Wasn't that just Hitler?
Oh,
Like, you just described Hitler to us, Mike. He was a one-man...
You only had one, yeah. You only had one ball. I saw the song says.
Testicle fucking... some maniac show, whatever you said.
Joseph's
Oh, I
mother,
don't know.
Dirty bugger, cut it off when he was small.
Windows notifications. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right. I think that's Aaron's. I think it's probably the hard drive trying to recognise. Oh, pardon me. If any of the viewers out there are watching, can you just tell me what Aaron is trying to build? Because I haven't got a fucking clue.
You'll never know.
Are you playing Hangman? Is that what you're doing?
There'll be me in the hallway later. I was trying to change a light bulb and the harness slipped. It'll be funny enough because you'll put it on the internet, won't you, Mike?
Yeah, autoerotic asphyxiation. Is it called?
Autoerotic asphyxiation goes
sorry.
wrong.
No, asphyxiation. Asphyxiation.
Asphyxiation.
Or it goes right.
I said asphyxiation.
Depending on how you look at it.
If that was you starting to scratch there, Mike, again, stop it.
I just couldn't do it, honestly.
Autoerotic asphyxiation.
Yeah.
I'll be able to tie you up, don't worry, Mike.
Oh my God.
I'll make sure you're wiggling more than a worm on a Sunday morning, touching the frost.
I just couldn't imagine it. I mean, oh God. I mean, the self-loathing I have after a wank, anyways. It's quite disturbing.
How did you know how like you were on about the amount of viewers we've accumulated in such a short amount of time?
Yeah.
How? We have these kind of conversations each stream.
Well, I mean, look, yeah. I was going to say, look, this is what we are, isn't it? We're not
Special eds.
We're not trying to hide who we are.
Show you another one.
He's not
that's
trying to
perfect.
hide it, anybody.
Green. Oh, actually not. Oh,
I mean, what happens if you try to do that? You get jelly leg. I mean,
Hey.
oh God.
Oh, honestly, Mike.
Oh God.
Coffee. You got no mugs other than mine.
Yo, mate.
What? You gonna chin
sorry.
me? Don't do it.
Yeah, I'm back on your screen now.
Don't chin me.
Are you going to do prove me wrong?
Why?
What?
I said why.
I don't know, just...
I think that's right.
You know what? I think this is probably going to be the toughest build that you two have ever done so far. Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to reproduce something like that, like a meme.
I don't know. I'm having an easy time, mate. Like,
Well,
Did you get anything nice for Christmas, Owen?
not really.
Sucks when you get old.
yeah, man. As soon as you leave from school, no free
Oh,
stuff.
you're doing all right, son. You got a fucking podcast studio.
Yeah, but not for Christmas.
You get your bills paid every month. Shut up.
Do I?
I support your hopes and dreams. That's enough for your Christmas present.
Oh, would you like more, Aaron?
Moa.
Moa.
Schmaug.
Oh, would you like more, son?
Like Moa.
Yeah.
Ba, 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 ba.
I still have no idea what you're building.
It just happens when you get older.
Performance issues.
Thanks, dude. just
Performance issues.
I hope you get grey hair in your junk.
Yeah, well, I hope you get drunk in your grey hair.
Man, the thing is, I just wish it wasn't my grey hairs. No, I won't say it. I mean, I was going to say something, and I was like,
Say
nah.
it. Say it. Shit.
I think we pushed the boundaries of taste tonight.
Oh, yo.
I don't know, man. I don't
Oh,
know, man.
mate, that sounds
push it a little bit
awful when you said that. I think we're going to explore the boundaries of taste tonight. Oh, sexy.
Oh, God.
Man, it's really hard to see if he's flipping black blocks. Like,
I'm trying to design a fucking cup of coffee.
Huh?
So I'm trying to design a cup of coffee.
How wouldn't you should make the table massive then?
Huh?
I'll make the coffee first. Hold on.
Ooh, sorry about that, guys. God.
Yeah, I'll do. That'll do, donkey. That'll do.
But you finished?
No. I'm just finished with a part of it. Well, copy, paste. There you go. Uh-oh.
This one's gonna look good because you're gonna have to view it from a certain angle.
Okay.
But that's because of the way the meme is.
Fire. Okay, you know what time it is. Spinny fucking spinny. It is Aaron first. Oh, God's sake.
I'm biting my tongue like a fucking muppet, I don't know why.
The 2 easy questions coming up here, so you get these wrong or you'll be dead. Okay, Aaron. What long-running RPG series has Pokeballs?
RPG?
Yeah.
Look at the fucking questions he gets.
Oh, yours is even easier.
Thank God.
It just happens to roll up on these questions, that's all. So, which game is it as? Which game features Pokeballs?
Pokeballs. Oh. I know this one. Can I phone a friend?
Have you got any?
I don't know,
think your
maybe.
only friends are in this room, are they?
I'm hoping. Is it Pokemon?
It is, yeah. Right on. What game is famous for finish him?
Oh, yeah, better hearing of it. Maybe finish him.
Yeah. Go on.
Since I got an easy one, may as well.
Street Fighter.
You are fucking kidding, aren't you?
I don't fucking know.
It's fucking Mortal Kombat.
Fucking beat him. Beat him.
They're the same fucking game.
There's nothing in the same.
You go look at their fucking codes, right, and you tell me they're different.
Well, one used full motion video, and the other one used fucking shitty animated characters. Oh God!
And
Can't
I'd
believe
like
you
to
got that
make
wrong.
I'd like to see you make even any of those two kind of games.
Yeah, you're right. I probably couldn't. Although you can probably do it in a browser now, though, couldn't you? Just with a 30-second penalty, please.
Oh, I actually thought you meant me.
Aaron, you won't let me build.
Oh God!
Oh, I'm stretching my legs and it feels good. Oh.
Get another question wrong like that, I'll be stretching your legs all right.
Oh, you can't say that.
I want someone has to put a HR team in the suggestion box, and then I want HR.
Sorry, I can't spell HR.
I don't even know what number H is. I ain't heard of that color before.
Just looking for the any key.
Right, penalty's over.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
No, it isn't, Owen. No, stop telling me.
Oh, God. You want to hope you get the next one wrong, because if you get that one wrong, I'm really going to take away your man card.
My what card?
Your man card.
You scared me. In unexpected ways.
No, I guess actually I need to do that, don't I? The last thing I need to make is now a tail.
A tail?
Yeah. I need to make sure I'm not singing the song.
Do 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 do
Do do do do do do.
I have no idea what you're building here, Owen.
Hey,
I have no idea what you're building here.
what I'm building?
Yeah.
I actually suggest that you find the meme and I then send it to him. Obviously, once you're done.
Yeah,
Obviously, once
I
the
can
judging
judge
begins.
it then. Don't worry, I won't use any nepotism.
This tail is awfully long.
You should be lucky the camera weren't looking at me that time, Mike.
Box it.
Oh, is that a giant knob you're building?
Technically, yes.
Technically, yes.
This creature's got a nubbin.
Yes, please, thank you.
Meanwhile, I'm going to make it so you have to stand on the stone block and look a certain direction.
Meanwhile, not everything can be handled like a committee. Quid pro quo. Confirm, yes. I copy. I control V. No, I nubble. Oh no, can't nubble. Never mind. Shape.
Oh my Jesus Christ! Actually, no.
Oh no.
No, the dog was helping me. It was sat in the right place I needed it to be. Oh. Away, doggy. Come on now, doggy. No! Get on the fucking table.
Sorry. Oh, pardon me. Sorry, guys.
Can't be.
There. He's sat down. Now I just need to get him in the chair.
That might be good, like. No. I just stay. Oh, they stay true to the meme. Perfect.
Now do you see what I'm doing, Mike?
Let me have a look. One moment, please.
About now, Mr. Krabs.
I still don't know the meme.
Do you not?
No. I trust you. You know, it's a meme, but yeah.
Well, I should fucking hope you trust me, because if anyone watching should, if there's actually anyone watching, I really
I don't
hope
know.
there is. Yeah, I sent you the image.
Have a look. Oh yeah. Okay. I would never have got that one in a million years, by the way.
How dare you say such a thing?
You've still got plenty of time if you want to do another one as well.
Well, I wouldn't know how long I've got left.
1 hour and 55 minutes.
All right. Well, I've still got more details to add anyway.
Okay.
I'd probably go into Aaron if you want to see someone interesting for now. I'm learning still.
I have no idea what Aaron's doing with like. Sorry, keep catching the microphone there, guys. Sorry about that. Can I just leave you on your screen? I'm just going to go to the toilet a second, guys. Won't be long.
Now we can cause chaos.
Well, I'm flipping my camera up so no one can see me doing my command stuff.
Oh, I hate it whenever people see me absolutely focusing. I think it's actually on mine. So
It is.
It doesn't really matter. Okay, since everyone's gone. Yeah. Yeah, I think I did pretty well, you know. I think I am pretty beast at what I've just done. I mean, perfect. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum.
Need the dog to face forwards again.
What's that? We'll have to just leave. We'll have to leave it till. I don't know what to do with that one. Oh, actually, it doesn't have spikes there. That's fine. It's fine.
Squeaky door. Oh. So I give it a second, guys. Just get myself clipped back. And I'm back. Right, switch over to Owen, see what he's up to. Hello.
I need that dog to keep facing forwards. I wonder if I can do. Oh, I can't give an arm a stand the bone. Right. Because it would be nice to have the wolf facing me the entire time. Pardon me.
You know, I'm sure I was reading an article a few weeks ago. I can't seem to find it now. Apparently, the Commodore 64 version of RoboCop, right, which is like released in the 80s, like an 8-bit game. They couldn't fix. I'm going to say level 5. I'm pretty sure it was level 5. They couldn't fix level 5, and they kept on getting bugs, so they made it so impossible. They actually made it impossible that you couldn't get past level 4.
That's right, Commodore. Yeah, they've. I mean, they've even given it. It's just call it. Some people just call it Commodore.
God, I think it's one thing is I never actually owned one of them back in the day. I had my first computer was a Spectrum, but before that, the only computer game / thing was that if you could look above your head on, there's you see those orange and black controllers, those little like dial things. They were part of
for the Binatone.
That's the one, yeah. Binatone / Grandstand Pong game back in the day, Jesus. But then, like, you know, basically fell in love with those kind of computer games, like, you know, back in the day. But yeah, very basic shit. But you know, it's funny because I was watching a preview. Sorry, a preview. What do you call it? Retrospective review of games, and the guy was covering RoboCop for the Spectrum, and I remember how much I absolutely loved that game. It was an amazing game. It's a shame the latest version is just dog shit. Back to Aaron now. See what he's up to. I don't know what you're doing, Hazard, honestly.
You'll see. Okay. You'll all see. But no, I mean, like, this thing is watching over like my entire place at the moment. So.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's perfect for this location. I can guarantee it. Nice leaves. Yeah, let's get one of those. Yeah. Do you know what? Yeah, let's go crazy with it, you know? Where is tiny tables? That'll work.
Sorry, I keep on closing my eyes.
So good.
Oh, let's put the screen back away.
Mike keeps napping. And I don't blame
warm
him.
In here, that's why.
I don't blame him. I feel like napping right now.
I know. I mean, I kind of wish someone would just bring an ice box in here.
Bagsy, the little spoon on.
Oh. I'm staying awake, thanks.
There's a reason we call you Reach Around Sue.
No thanks. No thank you.
Oh, is it because I'm too manly for you, is it?
Sure, if that's what you want to call it.
I have boobs.
Yeah, we know you have boobs. That's the problem. That's the scary part, Mike.
Oh, God. I'm hurt now.
Good.
Oh, my phone is finally charging. Yay.
Finally, something to distract him from me.
I wasn't rushing anyway. I was on our own screen.
I know.
Battle bills.
Battle
Switching over to Owen.
What was I doing? I don't know either.
Oh,
You hear this, Aaron? Your dad's trying to make fun of me.
No, I was going to do that. I was going, hey, Dad, what's making fun of me?
Dad's trying to make fun of me. Yeah, well. Shit. Yeah, well. Tickle my toes and call me Sally.
You are?
What?
So I was in the middle of a yawn. I couldn't hear you.
Good. I said tickle my toes and call me Sally.
Oh, okay.
Tickle, tickle, tickle.
Yeah.
Sally.
Yeah, but no. We should do an ASMR performance.
No, we should not.
I have to figure out.
The only kind of ASMR I'd do is I'd stick a cheese grater on top of the microphone and start rubbing it with a metal spoon.
I have the kind of voice
What
that
kind of
works
version
with
of Minecraft are we on?
ASMR.
Sorry, what was that?
Where's Aaron gone?
He's still there.
I mean, yeah, I'm still here.
Well, I asked you a question, you never answered me. How dare you?
Oh, sorry. I couldn't hear you.
What version of Minecraft are we on?
1.21.10.
0.10. Right.
Aye.
Right.
Which I should probably F11. I'm unprofessional, guys.
Is that important, like, Owen?
Well, for me, yes.
Okay.
There it is. Smoke. Next.
Magic.
No, don't actually. I'll just do that.
La 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 la. Magic.
That drum and bass style.
I have got the command. Do I type it in or do I copy and paste it? I'll type it in because. Well, seeing as I don't need it to be too high, I do this.
No. I can just.
How do I do this squiggly one? That one. No. How do I do the squiggly tilde sign again, Mike?
Sorry, what was that?
How do I do the squiggly tilde?
Oh, I don't know. Aaron?
What?
Can you help Owen?
It's not let me do shift to do it.
I don't know what's hard. What's up? What was about here?
It's alright, I'll just do it another way.
It should work fine. A bit forward though.
Switch over to Aaron.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, my scream. Yeah, that should do it now.
And I thank God every day. As a man who stands to lose you. Oh, I do. I want you, I need you, oh God.
This is why we can't have certain things.
Sorry, I just quite like that song, that's all.
It's fine.
This past year started off great.
Where the fuck is this damn smoke?
Whoa, fucking hell. I think I have to open the windows in this place.
Don't, please do. I'm dying here.
He's right though, just get cold in here quickly. Probably better off staying warm.
I'm a teapot, shot and spout.
Here's my handle, here's my spout.
When I start spouting nonsense, you hear me shout. Abby.
He's gone mental.
Say
I'm still trying to figure out this. No.
Say I'm crazy. Possibly.
Please stay.
How long's left before I start experimenting?
Another 90 minutes.
Oh, brilliant.
We have too much time of this one.
No,
Well,
it's
you
not
could call it.
time
You could.
because I'm still trying to find out.
We could
figure
do another
out
one.
stuff to make it look better.
Jesus Christ.
What?
Well, I'm trying to find some dirty jokes to tell, but not, not disgusting jokes, just dirty jokes. So you Google dirty jokes, and some of these are shit.
Pardon me. Pardon me. See if I can just find the squiggly fucking thing, because I think I'm on the American mod or something.
I've still no idea what you're building as.
Oh, get used to it. until it's time to be revealed. Y'all shall not know. Owen, by the way, so did you actually know you can actually put a campfire just directly underneath a block for you? You're trying to
I
make
do,
smoke.
but I want it to appear at just one singular layer mid-air.
Ah.
Oh, actually,
You can probably turn it invisible, can't you?
I wonder if the smoke emitter is a separate block,
Oh,
or if it's actually part of the block. You know how like I can get rid of part of a piston?
Aye.
Do you reckon I can do that with a campfire?
I mean, I don't think I'll have to. I mean, make it so that...
If it works like that, then yeah, I'll do that instead.
Campfire. Hey.
No, it does come part from the block. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it so the smoke is in midair. Alright,
Are you okay?
it's
Oh,
okay.
what
Yes.
What is a video icon? Blue. Oh, that one is. Blue.
Right, those will be the blocks I do it from. One more along. There we go. Let's see if I can just do normal smoke.
Such an own.
Or large smoke.
Where? Oh. I should
I
do
was
another
putting it
main.
Whew.
So I want it
No.
5 by 1 by 5. I think. I want
That's another one I can do.
1 speed. I want 3 speed.
Red.
Aha! I was doing it there, I was doing it. Maybe I need a command block.
Bit low. Taurus. Yes. Yellow.
So have you been keeping up to date with Stranger Things, Owen?
Nope.
Now watch it.
Nope. I don't have a Netflix subscription.
Dude.
Hold on, I'm gonna crash a server at this rate if I don't get
What the hell are you doing?
that sorted out. Oh, trying to make it smoke.
Ah.
Too fast.
Too furious.
Can I do? That's way better, but let's do just do more. Width of 1 or something. much smoke now, I think.
Oh.
Anyone seen where the fucking there we go. I'll just go with good simple old. Oh no! Look, the smoke's coming out of the floor.
You know, as I say, I mean, the atmosphere does help, but you don't necessarily have to go through a load of harassment. You know, I mean, if it's going to make a big deal, then like a big difference, then yeah, go for it. But I mean, personally, myself, I wouldn't. You know,
It would have, but I don't know the commands well enough yet.
there's a game we should play on stream: Command and Conquer.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh God. So I'm just watching Aaron's now. I'm like, what the hell?
What?
No, I'm just trying to decide what you're making. So.
Oh, I'm making a new one.
Was that another Smeem, is it?
Aye.
Another Mimi.
I want meatball. More height. Oh yeah, this is much better. Oh yeah, baby, it's triple. Yeah, sure. Here's copy. Let's spin it out. Here's what should be easy to guess. I need a bit of a meatball down there, like I'm going there.
Sorry, you guys keep on talking to each other because, yeah.
What about DVD?
I mean, it looks spectacular, but I have no idea what you're building. I can't even offer any advice. At least with like the Nethercastle and the stock exchange, I could offer subtle hints and stuff. But considering I don't know what you're building, not buying, build. So So it's kind of hard to decipher it until you get somewhere close to it. In fact, like although Owen showed me that one, I have no idea what it's from. And I have no idea what you're building as. So. All right, I'm just going to go and stick something in to eat for myself, guys. I won't be long. I need to get up, or else I'm going to be asleep. Be right back. Let's switch back over to Owen for a minute.
I don't mind.
It's all right, don't worry. Back shortly.
Which is the game rule that tells tells other people what commands we're doing.
What is it?
What's the game rule that tells other players what commands we're doing? There we go. Log admin commands. I'm turning that off so we can't see I'm gonna try and make it so that the smoke appears out where I want it to.
It's because how you about to like spam it sort of thing until it works.
Yeah.
I did the same thing.
Trial and error, basically. What meme are you doing like?
What?
What meme are you doing like?
Right now I'm on the one where it goes, clown pussy.
Oh, I'm doing that dog. I'm doing that dog. This is fine meme.
Oh, I figured out another one I can do if I have time. It's actually just like, let me do it for you. Oh, I can still see it.
I don't know. Maybe you want. I don't know.
Actually, what if I do a Taurus?
At this point, it doesn't matter. If
No,
it works, it works. Oh, that's right. I didn't do the repeat. Maybe I give it a redstone clock and do it that way instead. Do you reckon that'll be better?
I don't see how it can get worse.
Oh, it can get worse. Do you want the stream to end right now?
No.
That's how worse it can get. I'm going itchy ass fucking neck today, honestly. Let's make shitty redstone clock because I am shit at making redstone clocks, and that's why it's gonna be shitty. Just make a bit of a wider area because I am stupid. El stupido.
Oh, a bit warm, like.
Go turn the heating off.
Right, I'm back again. Right. Sorry about that.
I went to the wrong side of the mountain.
Oh. Getting a bit technical, are we?
Good news, Aaron, is it's shooting the smoke.
Very good.
Bad news, it looks like a blitzkrieg. Oh. Just wait the 6 minutes until my food's done, guys.
Oh,
Okay. Now time for a sphere.
I've done it again. I went to the wrong side. Oh god, that don't look any better.
Oh, that's too human. Oh no. Although, not bad, not bad, not bad.
Oh,
Now then,
I've got it a singular on one plane. I need it singular on a different plane, but I've got it singular on one.
Okay.
I can see all those commands.
Well, that's your problem. I'm pressing F1 and I'm ignoring it.
I fail to see how that redstone works. It just...
I don't know either.
I thought you could build like full working computers out of redstone.
I can't.
Oh, no.
You can't see it. Yeah, no, that's good enough. Paste copy.
Switching over to Aaron. Do you know what? I haven't done a spinny for a while, have I? Sorry.
Unbelievable.
I know.
Delegation.
Mate, honestly, I've been falling asleep here. It's crazy how tired I am here. It's mental. Anyway, right. So let me get the mouse point across. Spinny.
Right, I'll turn off the redstone clock for now because it only needs to be on for when the actual
Right. Aaron's going first.
thing's on.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh my God, come on. Trying to find a hard question here. Okay, Aaron, what PlayStation mascot is an orange bandicoot?
What's a bandicoot?
I don't know what a bandicoot is, but I'll tell you who a bandicoot is.
Crash?
That's the one.
Oh no, I crashed.
Oh, you...
Oh wait, it's Crash? Oh well. I win. But no, yeah, I crashed.
Okay, Owen.
Yes.
What game series features characters called Spartans?
Halo.
Yes.
Don't laugh at me, Aaron. I knew you. Yeah, I can hear him. I can hear him laughing. He's going to go, oh, you were going to get that wrong there, weren't you, Owen? Yes, I was.
I would have got it wrong.
Only times you should find yourself in trouble is when it's something stupid.
Pokemon.
Yeah, no, all I got to do is pin it.
Fuck 'em up.
So, a quick question. So, has the Adventures of Ash stopped now? Is like Ash Ketchum done? Is he done?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially, in the new series of Pokemon,
Yeah.
right? Essentially, Ash has just left, right? So now it's just Adventures of Pikachu. I think it is.
Okay.
I don't think it's. I don't know.
Which
Isn't that the premise of Pokemon Dungeons?
Dungeons and Dragons with Pokemon.
No, Pokemon Dungeons, like actual. Mike, you'll remember Pokemon Dungeons, wouldn't you?
Sadly not. Like the thing is that I've
just
always
the
had like an
Pokemon
infinity
Dungeons.
towards like the Pokemon cartoons. Obviously, like everybody else does. I didn't really study the lore like everybody else did. Like I have a friend called Tony who kind of introduced me to it. Never really was a huge fan of it, but over the years I kind of grew to liking it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know the full lore behind the actual games of Pokemon Detective Pikachu, or the Red and Blue, or Blue and Sapphire, or whatever those are the games. But no, the cartoons I definitely kept up with the cartoons over the years, but never like an avid viewer.
Is the beacon beam a type of particle? Do you know, Aaron?
What's that?
Is the beacon beam a type of?
Right, radio sounds again for 5 minutes, guys.
Like particle.
Yeah.
I don't see why it wouldn't be.
I'm trying to look for it now. Although I've been trying to look for how to use a beacon beam for years, because I wanted to learn how to use particles and all that and make animations in Minecraft. And then it just wasn't possible. I tried for months and months and I just couldn't figure it out. See what this particle trail's all about.
Just gonna have something to eat, guys. I won't be long.
All right.
They go to replace.
Such a random fucking command.
Oh no, where's replace? Oh wait, yeah.
Oh, do you mind if I come over, Aaron?
Yeah, you can go over.
Have a peek. I mean, I don't care if you have a look at mine. It's not like we can kind of cheat with this one, is it? Unless we start breaking other people's stuff. Are you making comedy?
Yeah, probably. Also, I got. Oh no,
You're gonna win this one. I tell you that much.
All right, check out this. All right, I got the guardians of this town. Do 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 do.
That banana flavored milk's gonna be fucking chunky right now, isn't it?
It's definitely warm. Like I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, like my Pepsi's really been in the kettle, and then you like let it cool down.
No, you want to do it. Just open the door. Let it in the cold.
For a second there, I thought you dropped the milk. Oh no!
Not
Warm banana milk.
My milky milk.
Sorry, I'm here. I'm watching. I'm just.
I know.
who's got a bandage in his leg.
Aye.
He's finally getting better though.
Aye, he keeps licking it raw though. He's stupid.
When I can get someone to lick me raw. Oh God.
Lick me till I go raw.
Are you having some sort of moment there?
I mean,
Just the amount of stripes you're doing?
that's what it is. Oh wait, no. There's a lot less stripes.
Yeah.
Oops.
I figured out the painting thing at home earlier, and I can't figure it out here.
Painting?
Yeah, I managed to paint
I use this one.
Yeah, that's what I used earlier, and it just didn't like it. Oh no, fuck away! That's why you choose the fucking colour. Oh. How did I manage to do it yesterday? I didn't even know you could choose it and colours on the side.
Oh yeah, I choose them also.
Oh, and you can fucking copy and paste them.
Aye.
Or is that a schematic you've made from it?
I don't know how. I mean, essentially, I just copied this, but I then pasted it over here to make a white one.
Your dad's not watching, nor is he listening. See, you've done multiple memes. Should I do my second meme as a schematic?
I mean,
should I copy and paste it and see if it wins? I'll concede my win if he tells me I win, but I'll see what the viewers decide. And if no one says anything, I won't.
How was the second meme like?
I don't know, just if someone's really schematic of how many memes.
Oh, I mean, to be fair, I mean, I did copy like this one. I mean, I just changed the colour over here. Hence why the ground's a bit coloured.
I'd argue that's allowed though, because you already built it.
Yeah, true. I mean, I built this, copied it.
If you didn't actually build it,
built this in symmetry mode. I mean,
yeah, that's fine. It's still built though, isn't it? But if you just went online, downloaded a map, like off a map, and pasted it, like what I'm about to do, it's cheating.
I mean,
I'm about to cheat, Aaron. I'm openly admitting to cheating.
I'm gonna cheat. No, please.
Guys, you heard that, guys. He's on the computer. He just said he's gonna cheat, and he's on the computer. I said I'm gonna cheat. I'm stood up. I'm not even on the computer. So I where I could be cheating.
I'm not cheating.
And you've now got a leg cushion.
Oh, sweet! I got a foot warmer.
It's got a foot warmer, guys.
What the hell?
What's the stream on? I don't know.
Best views. Oh, I just suddenly heard a sound. I was like, "Where's that coming from?"
I was just like, I all of a sudden got called to. Thank you for your first time chat. Oh my god, definitely a real person. Wealthy nurse made R9 DJ. DJ! DJ!
It's time to duel.
No, it's time to DJ! Sat there at Longfields, fucking playing Mr. Trenholm's fucking keyboards in music class. And just spamming the button. DJ! Yeah! Aaron gets it.
Well, no.
DJ, yeah!
All playing mode? Oh yeah, baby. Look, teacher, I am playing for piano, I swear.
And there'll be like one fucking edgy kid in the corner playing Eiffel 65 or something. Sat in the corner, and then you go up to him. He's like, "Oh yeah, I can do." Just starts doing Dr. Dre.
Do.
And you sat there like, if this kid had access to weapons, you wouldn't come in tomorrow. Neither would half your class because they'd be dead.
POV, you were I just
POV,
nice to quiet kids.
You poked the edgy student one too many times. Guys, he's got a troubled home life. Leave him alone. He sat there with an AK. Okay. America.
Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm fucking bad at painting. I can't even do it. The only thing I can do is probably
while you do that, I'm going to do my research right next to you, just to rub it in. Just to rub it in.
Yeah, that should be good enough. There's just like a crack between accounts.
Schematic.
I hear the squiggle giggles tonight.
I just shot myself in the security. Go check the stream and see whose camera's on. So stream's not getting bored. They're stuck on mine because I'm not doing anything. Also, I'm about to open up Discord and transfer a file.
Right, let me go check. Paste copy.
Send the link to him, man. So it is on the Discord.
Oh, right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. Sorry about that. Do apologise.
Who's in camera?
No. Who's it on?
Yours.
They would have been bored.
Yeah, sorry about that. Right, back on errands now. Hello, special guest.
Hello.
Dropping everything on the floor. Ah, it's a bot.
We know.
Shame. Where's Owen gone?
On his...
Oh, you're back on your computer.
Yeah.
You weren't checking out each of the streams there, were you?
It's fine. He's, he's just... he won't be able to do much about it. I mean, so essentially for him to copy.
We're doing different things anyway, so
Okay.
it really doesn't matter what we see this time.
What's that? I heard another noise.
Wasn't me.
Hello?
Hello?
No, somebody left the channel.
We've both been sent to the AFK area at once there.
Oh, do we? Oh, okay.
Oh no, your dad did. Oh no, he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
Did the computer die?
No, I'm still here.
Died.
Oh, he disconnected.
Can you not hear me?
Let me go see what's happening.
Hang on, what's going on here? I should be still alive. Still on? I'm still on, I can hear myself.
You was at AFK.
Oh, right, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, should be right now.
What?
Oh, hello, Owen.
Can you hear me, Owen?
Hello.
You can hear me,
I
yeah?
can.
Okay,
I can hear you.
sorry, I didn't realise I got sent to AFK. My bad. You got another hour yet, son.
Who's on camera?
on Aaron's at the moment. Do you want me to switch to
Good.
yours?
No,
Yeah. Cheers.
You at Owen?
do not switch to mine.
Why?
Why? Because I'm on Discord and I'm looking at stuff.
I was just saying,
I'm
you're
looking
watching
at
porno.
boobies.
Porno.
Yeah.
Crackers. I think it's on yours anyway. Sorry. Big package.
Did you know a mother who called the cops to stop a son from playing Grand Theft Auto 5?
Okay.
Police say a frustrated Boston woman called the police to say she couldn't get her 14-year-old to stop playing the video games and to go to sleep. Officer Joe Zanol said the mother called her to help around 2:30 a.m. to say that the teenager also walked around the house and turned on all the lights. Surprisingly, her call actually worked, and the two officers who responded to the house persuaded the child to obey the mother.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just reading facts. Because I was falling asleep and I needed to wake up a little bit.
Ooh.
I've actually been watching a bunch of claymation, like making, like some people would make like freakishly weird monsters, how it's like an old item like in some clay, and put a bunch of like eyeballs and stuff on it. So I'm taking some of that inspiration of making eyeballs and stuff
Okay.
for this. Which I think is doing pretty well.
I keep on hitting my head in the microphone. Well, look, I think Owen will even have to admit that you've really sat there and worked on this one. Like,
Here's one.
yeah.
I just broke everything. I'm going to lose my rag.
It is really good.
I think at this moment in time it could be the Mona Lisa and I wouldn't care.
You what, sorry?
I said I think at this moment in time it could be the Mona Lisa and I wouldn't care. I've just broke everything twice in a row.
You really go for that table, aren't you?
Actually, I'm just doing my fucking nutting, that's why. There. All I wanted to do was change the
This
rotation.
is fine, Owen.
I guess I can do another one. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. First things first, I create giant circle, super sphere. Boom. I want it to be a nice beige color, so let's say birch. I don't want birch planks though. Strip birch log.
Oh, hi there.
Yeah, I'll do. She's a bit bigger.
See, if the dog looked this way every... Oh shit, I took a screenshot. If it kept looking that way, you'd be able to see the door in the background, it'd be fine. It'd be even more fine.
Let's see. Decahedron. What's a decahedron?
What's a decahedron?
Yeah.
Well, think of...
Pitch. Oh.
I don't know. Sour 10 shapes. Have you deleted that? No, you haven't deleted that chat.
I'll put my phone in.
Oh, I don't even know how to.
Well, I'll just do it.
Okay, because I was going to say all I've got is a little window that says stats, and then the other one is basically what the name of the title of the stream is on. So I don't often use OBS, so no idea.
I'm a Streamlabs OBS kind of guy myself. Isn't that right, Aaron?
Yeah, you are.
How long have we got left, Mike?
Oh, 3/4 of an hour. Have you moved your camera, have you?
I have, just for a moment.
Okay, no problem. Just going to switch on to Aaron then.
Yeah.
How do we make it thicker?
That's what she said.
Grow, my precious, grow.
Oh well, I'm getting drunk tonight.
You getting drunk?
I am.
I can't. I'm driving tonight, unfortunately.
That is, unless we get a mechanical breakdown.
We only use mechanical breakdown when we have mechanical breakdown.
The only time mechanical breakdown you'll have is me. Falling under the wheels. Help!
It's funny, I was talking to somebody last night, actually. Sorry, this is just a random piece of conversation, guys. I was talking to somebody last night, and he said like that he doesn't normally come in on that night last night, but he turned in and found out there was a load of people missing. I was like, I didn't honestly think that happened there. It's really weird.
So I'm going to press F1.
Yeah, I do not want to be. So.
Pardon me. Maybe I'll up the radius and the amount.
Sorry?
I said maybe I'll up the radius and the amount.
I'm a dinosaur. I'm a dinosaur.
I forgot to turn the power on.
Oh,
Yeah.
There's an LED airbrush station for sale on Facebook for 70 quid.
I'm going to itch on my leg.
Does it come with a compressor?
No, it's just like a little spray booth with a spinny wheel.
Is it time for spinny?
Spinny. It is spinny. Sorry, guys. I really am warm in the studio tonight. It's unbelievable.
Open the door.
I can't.
Except for cold.
What do you mean you can't open the door?
Well, I mean, I can, but it just,
Right
you know.
there.
Right, it's Aaron's question first. Okay, give me a second, because I'm going to have to generate some new ones, because these are getting boring. Oh my God! There we go.
Sorry, I'm changing it while I'm fucking in it. Is it more spread out now? Is it?
D. Come on, chat GTP.
Oh, there we go. That's way better. There we go.
Verify you're a human. Am I? Am I a human?
No, you aren't.
I think I am.
I think so. Therefore, I am.
I think, therefore, I am.
Okay, right. Question. What anime featured between 2013 and 2023? And it was a massive success. Now, bear in mind, I'm using massive in double entendre way.
Double entendre.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh wait. Well, wait. What was the two dates?
2013 to 2023. In other words, 10 years. And I think Netflix doing a version of it, or they've done a version of it.
Anime.
Yeah.
I didn't see. I mean, I instantly rolled out for been like One Piece, Bleach, and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of a generalized question, isn't it? No, let me see if I can find something else. 1 second.
One Punch Man.
No.
No,
it was Attack on Titan.
Oh yeah, I guess. I mean, 2023. That's fucking.
That's a bit of a bullshit question, actually. ChatGTP being a bit logical there.
That's a bullshit answer.
You know why that is?
Why is it a bullshit
Because
answer?
you've never called it by its name correctly once.
Haven't I?
No, it's GPT.
Oh, okay.
That's a
Look,
bullshit.
I can't be helped being dyslexic.
It's clearly offended.
I'm dyslexic.
That you don't know its name.
But I'm dyslexic.
How is it offensive, Miss Vito?
Oh, God.
Because there was plenty of animes back in 1993 to 2010. 2023.
Yeah, there was that many. I don't even know what day it is. That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. Go on into your leg.
I like elephants.
I like elephants.
Let me.
You know who else
wait
likes
for
heifer
you.
lumps? I like heifer lumps.
I guess I'll go build a trade center that I failed at last week.
You should go build the troll face like I've built. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You never saw me downloading it at all.
It's water. Oh, it's water.
Hors d'oeuvres. Oh, I don't know where it is. Where it is. Hiddly diddly tiddly winks. Doodly doodly doo. Checking me pockets, checking the floor. Doodly doodly doo.
Tiddlywinks. Going on adventure. Tiddlywinks.
Tiddly. What are you trying to say to me there? Aaron, top of the morning to me.
Toodle-a-doodle-a-doo.
I found the thing I was looking for. It didn't really go missing that long. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do.
Doodle-a-doodle-a-doodle-a-doo. Doodle-a-doodle-a-doo.
What do you mean I baked any of those cookies with Morgan?
Right, okay. Questions coming up now. I've managed to sort some out.
Hot questions. Here comes questions.
Right, Aaron.
Well, I
Yeah.
haven't answered theirs yet, so.
What is the largest ocean on Earth? Is it Pacific, Atlantic, or Indian?
Pacific.
It is. Very
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Owen,
Yes.
how many continents are there? Is it 5?
7.
What?
7 continents.
Yeah. Yay. Congrats, guys.
I honestly wouldn't have got that one.
I might be able to name them.
Go on then for extra bonus points.
Let's start off with the most prolific one.
Yeah.
North America, South America,
Right,
Africa, Europe.
Sorry, where?
North America, South
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
Africa,
Yeah.
Europe.
Yeah.
That's 4.
Yeah.
Asia,
5. Yeah.
Oceania.
No.
Yes.
No.
Oceania's a continent.
No, it isn't. You mean Australia? Australasia, sorry.
It's Oceania now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Since when?
I don't fucking know.
Right, go on, the last 2.
Antarctica.
Yeah.
Have I done Asia?
No.
Oh, Asia.
There's Antarctica and there's the other one, isn't there?
We really should have written them down and listed them out while we were going.
Hang on. Let's have a look at Chat GPT.
There you go. I'll give you all the answers you want. Where's the chat gone? I can't even see the chat. All I can see is spinny.
No, there's no chat.
Where is chat? It's hidden behind spinny.
Is it?
Yeah.
Spinny, close down.
Oh, no, it's hidden. There we go.
There we go.
Saggy Waps.
That's me.
Oh, I've done it again.
Right,
I
okay.
did that last time.
Right, you ready for this? This is the continents.
Yeah.
Asia, North America, Antarctica, Australia, Africa, South America, and Europe.
Say what about Oceania? Or is Oceania just now called Australia because what about fucking New Zealand?
Oceania.
Oh, Shiana. I wonder what the name was.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oceania.
Australia.
All right.
Yeah. But it's always been Australasia as far as I'm not. Oh, God.
Stop
See, it annoys
scratching,
me
I can
because
hear it
like
down the
Europe
line.
is still connected to fucking to Asia, so I don't know how that's not how that's 2 separate continents.
Mm.
Oh God. Let's have a look.
Mm.
Okay, I know it's not spinny time, but it'd be nice, interesting to see how many users can answer here. What planet is known as the red planet?
Mars.
Okay.
I mean, for one, Venus could. Is it Venus? So for one that's really close to the sun,
That's
that one.
Mercury.
Mercury.
Yeah, Mercury.
It's more of an orange.
It's more of a ball of rock that's stuck in its orbit.
It's more a ball of rock that's starting to melt and tidally low.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Okay, what's the capital city of Italy?
Is it Rome?
It is.
Good thing I didn't answer. I was going to say Venice.
Which country is famous for the Great Wall?
China. Oh no, America.
It
Sorry.
is? No, you got it. Oh,
Germany.
yeah. Germany, yeah.
True.
Ich bin ein Berliner.
Oh, God. Which streaming service released Stranger Things?
Netflix.
Yeah.
Well, it's clearly Sky.
Oh, my God.
Skype.
What is the main character in the Harry Potter series called?
Ronald Weasley because he gets a girl.
I'm glad I never opened mouth because I was going to say something awful about the circumstances with J.K. Rowling, but it's Harry Potter. The answer is Harry Potter.
Oh God! Which video game features Trevor, Franklin, and Michael?
Grand Theft Auto 5.
It is. Which singer released the album 25?
Released the album 25.
Ed Sheeran likes all his numbers and all
No,
that.
he likes plus minus divided, doesn't he?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Is it?
Is it
Taylor
a
Swift?
woman?
It is a woman.
Then I don't know.
Is it
Right,
Taylor
okay,
Swift?
I'll give you a clue. I'll try to sing it back because I don't know the words to this song, but I'll try to sing it back. I heard that you settled
Adele.
down. What?
Adele.
Adele, yeah.
Adele.
She likes to sit and watch the telly.
My ball.
What movie franchise features lightsabers?
Star Wars.
What fruit is known for keeping the doctor away?
Apple.
Yeah.
That and the durian fruit.
Trust me.
Oh God, it stinks of shit.
So say, not a fully ripe watermelon to keep the doctor as well. Fuck off, you!
Either that or starting to rot watermelon. Oh, it's all squishy and wet.
What is the main ingredient to guacamole?
Avocados.
It is. Yeah.
Wow, it's an avocado.
What drink is known as the world's most popular caffeinated beverage?
Coffee.
Red Bull. Monster.
No, that's a close second. Definitely a close second.
Is it espresso?
No, it is coffee. No, it's coffee, yeah.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Oh,
So does it also come in sugar free?
it does. What dairy product makes pizza stretchy?
Cheese.
Wow, what time? Type, sorry.
Mozzarella.
Mozzarella.
It is a mozzarella. Mozzarella.
A
Is that
mozzarella.
racist?
No.
Also, as well, fun
Okay.
fact:
Why
you
is
can
it
actually make
racist?
mozzarella at home.
Racism's based on hate, mate.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we don't hate Italians. We
No,
eat
I
a
definitely
lot of
don't.
pizza.
I love pizza, yeah.
And I love a good pasta or a lasagna. Oh my God.
What food is Japan famous for?
Sushi.
Okay.
For girls.
Well, actually, it's sushi, wagyu beef, and pufferfish.
I think it's yeah, sushi.
Sure.
It's wagyu beef, actually. Thank you very much. I'll
How
show
many-
you wagging your beef.
How many minutes are in an hour?
72,600,060.
I had 60. That's good enough for me.
I can imagine that. 160, it's good enough for me. Answer's correct.
I mean, these are supposed to be like everyday knowledge, but these are just simple. What do you call a baby dog?
Oh, Bobby. What's that?
Fluffy Schnookingins, that's what it is. Fluffy Schnookingins.
No, there wasn't cinnamon swirls, but there was muffins and cookies.
Oh, I'll grab a cookie too. Oh, forget that chair that was behind me. It attacked me.
Cookies.
I'm just a girl.
Hello.
So it smells off in here.
I don't know why, it should be. I've had curry, yeah. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I do apologise.
What's the date on these? Good question.
Just because he's not talking to you, by the way, there's a lot of Luke's food in the front office if you want it.
He's updated me on everything.
Has he?
Yeah, absolutely everything.
By the way, if Luke is listening, I do apologise. That was only a joke. I just, just being playful.
Well, I'm going to say.
I use finished now your memes.
Yeah, I think we're more than done.
Has he?
He built well, so I said. I think he's going to win, but.
Well, just for the fact that sheer skill that he's done is just like
Well,
wow.
Last week he built some sort of red thing, so.
Yeah. Yours was definitely better last week.
We were supposed to build the sales market.
Stock exchange.
See, yeah, look, he's smiling. He knows. He knows.
Oh yeah.
He fucking knows.
Well, to be fair, I should have just built the Houses of Parliament.
You said you should have built the House of the Parliament last week. That wasn't the stock exchange, though.
Yeah, but I mean, they all do insider trading. I can guarantee you that.
Allegedly, son. Say allegedly.
I can fucking guarantee it. I mean, I don't care.
Yes.
You know, sometimes I don't think Guy Fawkes was all that bad. Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, political violence is not the answer. Are you finished doing your battle build now, son?
Oh yeah, I'm miles away. I'm just waiting for Owen.
Right, do you and Owen want to look at each other's work then before I make my judgment? Which, to be fair, isn't going to be hard.
Biscuit builds. No, my biscuit.
Oh God.
Why?
Right, give me a fly around, lads. First of all, do yours, Aaron. Show us your memes.
Okay. Give me a second. I'm just continuing on the whole stock exchange thing. Okay. So.
Right, what meme is that?
All right. Let me pull it up for you. Where is that? There it is. Right, wait, give me a second.
I was going to say, you do realize you got a dual monitor there. You could just like open up the window and drag it across so we can see it.
Yeah, but I know. I'm too lazy. Right, this. Wait, look at these little things.
Right.
They also dance. So, and how like they could just go be like rocking out, you know, chillaxing.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, there's two fliss. There's the female one. I don't know the name.
Oh right, because that what it's supposed to be.
Hi, two fliss, female one. I mean, obviously, I got the classic clown pussy, which is from obviously Pommy.
Oh, okay.
Which is obviously a meme as well, and because obviously not all those girls. And
that looks actually pretty good. That.
And to top it off, I got for OG for top dog. Let me do it for you.
That's actually really good. That is actually really good.
Let me do it for you.
Oh, and have you seen these?
Hear me. And obviously, I got whole thing.
That is really good.
Head on.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just quick, but I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna build a dog.
So no head.
And obviously, I got different eyes and whole body. I got skills as well, and
who
ears.
else has got different eyes?
So
Your brother.
Pretty based. I know.
I seen your dad there. I seen his reaction.
I also have my tea party set up here, so
Hello,
my friend can be.
My name's Bobby Blueberry.
Hello there, I am Bubba.
As he looks completely two completely different directions. This eye looks upwards and that way. This eye looks downwards and that way. My name's Bobby Blueberry.
Oh, God. Right, okay. Right, I'm just going to switch over to Owens then.
Hello, everybody.
Hang on one second. Give me a show round yours, Owen.
Hello.
Hello. Give us a show around yours. Let's have a look.
Okay. Let me just do that. Oh shit. I tried. There we go.
Aha, Mia.
All right. If you're gonna do that, Aaron, you might as well step on the.
Mia.
Okay.
You step
Right.
on that, and you look over here, Aaron, towards the door. When you're stood on the marker.
I get it. Right.
This is fine.
You've spent real time and effort. You have spent real time and effort.
But then we go to the king.
You what? Sorry.
The true king.
You did that one, did you?
The troll face.
You did that, did you?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
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 It's hollow, but yeah.
That's actually really good.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna make it difficult now. I thought you just made the room.
No.
I'm thinking, God, he's fucked around for 2 hours. And all he's done is a room with a dog in it. Oh, God. Okay.
Hey. You make it seem like I've just done fuck all. I've even made smoke come out the ground to add a bit of atmosphere when you look in the corner. It's not just the other bit of smoke where the smoke.
I thought it was rubbing off on you. Oh, Jesus Christ! You've actually made it really difficult now.
Oh no!
I do like the meme, like the skull. I like the face. I think it's really cool. But I also really like Aaron's dog. Let me do it for you. I don't get the dragon one, but obviously the clown pussy and the thingy. So you've made it 2-2 as far as I'm concerned. What are you doing throwing in the air? What's that?
Oh. And it's moving stuff around in here.
I'm placing the redstone mid-air, but because I've got hold on. There we go. Now I just place it mid-air because.
There you go.
You're not supposed to be able to place this stuff mid-air. What are you doing, Aaron? The fuck is that? Oh, I see. You started just editing my coffee cup.
Well, I didn't mean to, but then it's happened.
Oh, so tough. Look, I'll be honest. I don't get the dragons right on Aaron's, and I don't get the doggy one because I've never seen that meme before. So
have you not?
That's
it's
just
been
me
around for
being
years.
uneducated.
Yeah, you certainly fucking are. He was home educated, everyone.
Oh God.
He wasn't. This man thinks he was when boarding school.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to call this one a draw. The reason why is you've obviously spent time with it with the head, the laughing skull. That is genius. That is really good. What's going on with that? Where's the screen zooming in and out?
I'm a camera.
Yeah, I'm going to call it a draw. 1-1. Well, 3-2 now.
So are we going to do another one? I mean, obviously, if you want to do another one, Owen.
Time is it? Because I still got cooked tea. It's 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
I mean, we can do a double one, like a double.
So you don't have to if you don't want to. I can take you back if you need to. It's just.
No, I want to be able to cook tonight, otherwise, because the past couple of ones I've just had cold teas.
Yeah. I don't mind taking you up. It's all good.
I want a warm meal, everyone. I want a warm one. Something I can feel. Something that gives me purpose.
Okay, I can take you on. Anyway, okay. Thanks for coming, guys. That was it was brilliant. I really enjoyed that. I did think that was going to be a tough one for you. It's like I was sat there thinking, well, what can they do here? This is going to be like I thought you were going to go down some kind of twisted route of some variety. So
I know exactly what we can do for that, Aaron. Hold on. Yeah, something about that.
Oh shit.
Redstone.
What are you trying to do there, like, Owen?
Aaron's placed a grave down, so I'm gonna be make it look like it's got some blood coming out of it. Isn't it?
Do you know what doesn't surprise me? Sorry, doesn't surprise me. Sorry, what does surprise me? Sorry, I don't know how to phrase that. Is about like how far the imagination goes when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like for instance, you'll have I don't know, let's say a sandstone block. You'll be able to build something out of it, and that is not sandstone, for instance. That you can just use it as something else, like like a slither of cheese or something. It's basically like how much you can, your imagination can go with it.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I've never really been a fan of this game, but I must admit the RTX shaders make it look really, really nice. But still, would I want to play it? Probably not. There's plenty of other games on there that need playing. I started to play Anno 1800 last night. And I got to the first mission, I got stuck, and I was just like, "This is fucking ridiculous." I need a tutorial, so I kind of gave up with that one. But like I said, there's is it Avowed? That's sat on the computer waiting to thingy. So I honestly, you took my breath away with that head there, dude. I genuinely didn't think that you'd done anything else. Goes to show how tired I was, doesn't it?
You think I'm lazy?
Oh god.
His head's like this guy's just full of clouds.
I know you fucking feel.
Yeah, your head's just like this guy, Mike.
So I'm talking to the head.
Talk to the head because the body ain't listening.
My head's full of other clouds.
It's really good, that guys. Really good.
The thoughtful kind.
So we'll call it 1-1 on that one. Yeah, we're definitely 1-1. I've got an idea.
You've got an idea? Oh God, sit down.
On it. Yeah. There you go. And the thing is, I'd actually put down a bed. I got your place. Right, when I completely forgot, I done an event and I right clicked it. So when I changed my spot. So
I
I
can't
lost
even
my
remember
base.
where my last place is.
Oh, you can't find your last place?
Nope, can't remember.
Oh no. I don't suppose you've right clicked the bed, have you? At any point?
Yeah, but then how would I find this place again?
It's fine. Yeah, you don't need it. You don't need a mean one.
That's true.
Can't take the shit.
There we go. I'm back at the. Imagine I just turned around and I just seen it.
Yeah, it's just right next to you. It's like, oh, okay.
This is bullshit.
Do you want to pick another main? So, do you want to pick one next topic?
No, because I never remember them anyway. Because you guys already knew it was a meme today, and I'm sat there like, what the fuck?
I'll text you. I don't know if at least I'll text you. Be like, oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you want to choose a topic today.
Okie dokie.
Choose the topic, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready when you are.
Just putting that up on the screen. Right, okay, give me a second. I need to find the box. Do you know where the box is? Oh, I think I found it. 1 second. Thanks for missing.
Find them.
I found 2. Oh, 3. There you go. I found the 4th one. Right, okay. Right, here we go. Box number 4.
Box number 4.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's a smaller box.
Let's get that around.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 to 5.
So 4.
So have you rolled a 1 to 5?
No, you don't have a 5-sided dice. We have a
roll
4-sided dice.
Well, how about this? Roll a 6-sided dice. Right, and if it lands on any more
6 to
than
reroll. Okay.
okay,
Right, 5.
so 5.
Yeah.
Right then, you should build a bridge.
Okay.
So next time we're building a bridge.
Okay. And is
Oh,
that next time
sweet.
going to be tomorrow, Owen?
I don't know.
Yeah, so
We'll
you
do
wanna
it earlier
tomorrow?
tomorrow because we've got nothing on tomorrow.
I have no idea if I've got out or around.
I can pick you up earlier tomorrow, like.
I still wouldn't have any idea.
Or you can sleep here if you want.
No, I can't sleep here. I certainly can't sleep here.
You can spoon with me.
No, I can't sleep in weak places.
How about if you sleep on top of something weird?
You can spoon with me.
Well, I've just turned around and said I can sleep on top of something weird.
Because I'm weird.
He's going to touch me.
Uh,
Guys.
Aye. It's one of those things.
What, you want to be ninja? I want to be ninja. So chop it down, chop out.
Okay, we wrapping up?
Yeah, okay. Right, anyway, thanks for coming, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
He's lying.
Thanks for all. Love yous all.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.